Hello everyone. I'm going to get started with matting my project. Right now I'm working on the Shaker album, the portrait style that is Picture Perfect Volume 5, which is the Shaker version of my Picture Perfect albums. And I wanted just to take you a little bit through my process, let you get inside my head. Scary place to be, by the way. Just to see how I do things, and perhaps maybe it can help you out as well. I did a Matting 101 series, and that is on YouTube as well, and that pretty much covered when I cut my paper, how I glue it onto my pages or tape it onto my pages, etc., etc. This one is going to be more about how I treat my product, my materials, the paper that I'm going to use to mat with. So for this particular project and all projects, all right, this is what I do. For this one, I'm using the Shimelle Glitter Girl project pad. In this particular project pad, it has pocket cards that you can cut apart. It also has a sheet of a bunch of little things that you can cut apart. It also has a sheet of borders. And what I do is I pull that all out of my pad. All right, I pull them all out of my pad. I also pull my papers out of my pad is what I do. You do not have to do that. All right, the reason why I do that is because as I'm looking through my papers, I don't want to have to pull every single sheet out of my pad. I make a mess like that. I personally don't like it. I pull every sheet out of my pad. Whatever I don't use, I use my pad as a file folder. So I put it back into the pad and then it goes into my large storage Ziploc bag. All right, so that's just what I do. Okay, so I pull all the papers out. Then I take the sheets that you have to cut everything out of. I cut all of that out because those are my embellishments, and I tend to use embellishments as I go. Or it depends, if I get stuck somewhere, then I just continue matting. All right, so I cut everything out. I ink everything except the borders, because borders you tend to cut at various sizes, and then that would just be a waste of time, inking, in my opinion. So I just ink as I go with the borders, and that's it. So everything is cut out. I have lots of embellishments here just from the paper pad alone. I haven't even broken into the embellishments like the ephemera packs and so on and so forth. All right, so then once I do this, I put all of this to the side, all of it to the side. And I have it pretty much close to me. My work area, I work on a paper pad that's about 30 by 24, and that's a rough estimate in terms of the size. And I just put all of my embellishments up here on top. My pages obviously over here. My large papers are off to my left hand side, and maybe I can zoom out so you guys can see this. A lot of people ask me, how is my work station always looks so clean? How do you do that, Kathy? Well, I'm going to show you what I have going on here. Let me just take these extra things that I can't show you yet out. I'm always working on multiple projects at one time, so can't give you no sneaky peekies. All right, so let me zoom out and let's see what I got. This I got to put away as well. Hold on, people. I wasn't planning to zoom out, but I will do so now. Okay, all right. I tidy up as I go along as well. I put my scissors back, my paper clips, I put them all back. I don't leave things laying around because that's how you make a mess. All right, my ruler's always handy, so let me zoom out now. There's nothing in the way that could get me in trouble or give you sneaky peekies. Let's see. Where are we? Come on, people. Come on. This thing never wants to do it for me. Maybe oh, there we go. There we go. You just got to hold it just right. Okay, so here's my paper pad. That's as far as I can zoom out. So this is where I work. This is my work area. My paper trimmers here, my pages, my embellishments, my ink. Now my large papers, see them right here, are off to the side, right next to me. Then I have two piles. I do my large papers, and then right above it up here is where I put my scraps. Anything under 12 by 12 goes up here, and that's how I keep things organized. Over here to my left, to my right hand side are my tools, my tape, my glue. Whatever tools are over here. One of the things that I do often, and it drives me nuts, is I tend to put my ruler on my left hand side, and I don't know why I do that. I don't know why. I'm right-handed. You would think I would, boom, put it over there. I don't. So when I can't find my ruler over here, I just look over here because that's where it is 9 times out of 10. But that's it. That's all I do. Now, in terms of matting, I always get the question for people who are new to my, I'm trying to zoom out now. Oy, I think I need a new battery. No, I just got to hit the right button. All right. So in terms of matting with all of my projects, I like an 1/8 of an inch border around my page. Okay, an 1/8 of an inch border. So that means if you're cutting, if the area that you want to mat is 3 by 4, you're going to cut 1/4 of an inch smaller at 2 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then you mat. How do I pick papers? Okay, I just pick the first 3 papers that I love. All right, of course, if you haven't done your cover yet, you want to take your papers out for your cover. If you know you want this stripe on your cover, you take it out. If you know you want this pattern on your cover, you take it out. I tend to take out 3 of my favorite sheets for my cover, and then that's when I start matting. All right, you always want to take out your cover sheets first because you don't know what size you're going to have. I tend to do my covers last because it's just the way I work. For this particular project, it's a shaker album cover, and I'll show you that in a minute. I had to do that first, and then I did my pages, so I'm kind of working backwards, but I'm decorating my pages before I put them into my album so I don't beat up my cover too much. And I also did some glitter work on the inside of my cover, so I want that to dry as well. So while all that is drying, I'm going to mat my pages. You can mat your pages, and what matting means is covering your pages with pattern paper. That is what matting means. All right, you're covering the bases of the pages with pretty paper. Okay, that's number 1. Then, I lost my train of thought here. Good grief. Oh, another thing is, you can mat your pages before you attach them to your binding system, or after you attach them to your binding system. I tend to mat my pages once my pages are attached to my binding system. There truly is no right or wrong way to do that. It's a matter of preference. I'm a little bit of a, I lose my train of thought every once in a while. So I tend to attach my pages to my album so that I don't mess up in terms of doing something upside down, mess up my sequence. And again, that's just a check for me. All right, it kind of checks me as to where I am, and I know my book is in the right orientation, etc., etc. I have been known to attach pages upside down or mat upside down or do something silly like that, that in my opinion ruins all of your hard work, right? Because you don't want something upside down. Again, the reason why I'm matting my pages prior to attaching them to my album, it's because I'm letting my album cover dry because I did some glitter work. All right, so here I'm working a little bit out of my comfort zone, or what I typically do as a routine. All right, so how do you pick your pattern paper? This is one of the questions I get. How do you pick your pattern paper? What's the first thing you do? I pick the paper I like. Plain and simple. I pick 3 sheets of paper. Absolutely love this one, right? I know, first of all, I'm looking at the area that I'm working with. This is a small area that I'm working with, so I know that I'm going to need a small print. I'm not going to use this large stripe because it's just going to get lost in those small areas. I absolutely love an argyle print. I will automatically gravitate to this or this. But again, a larger print so that I cannot use that. So I'm going to go with the unicorns. And now I'm just going to pick something that goes with the unicorn. You pick what you like. All right, these stars are small. Goes nicely with the unicorns. And flowers will go well with these stars. I'm going to pick one more just to brighten it up. Of course, I am a stripe kind of girl. I'm going to go for that stripe. It's a smaller stripe. All right, if you want to pick some more papers because you just like them, you can. All right, so that's what I do. I pick the papers that I like best. All right, and then I just start matting. Here, I know that this is an insertion point for me, so I know that I'm going to stick something in there. So whatever I put in there doesn't have to be something super fabulous like I would put here on this envelope, because this is going to show. You know, I'm not going to cover this up. So 9 times out of 10, I would use a pretty paper on something that I'm not going to cover up, on one of those pockets, or again, in this case, an envelope, something fun. So these unicorns here are absolutely going to go on this page here. And then I'm just going to keep on going. So here I'm going to use a small print. So I'm going to go for this. I'm going to measure out this piece right here. So you measure. This piece here measures, full size is 3/4 of an inch by 3 3/4 of an inch. So you cut your paper 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that would be 3 by 3 1/2. Okay, so let's do it. 3 by 3 1/2. And this is what you would do every single time you mat. What do I mean by 1/8 of an inch border? This is what I mean. And let me put something behind there so you can see that. I didn't pull this cloud paper out, but I'm looking at it out of the corner of my eye, and I can see it that it will go really well behind here. So quickly, I'm just going to get a quick measurement here, and I know what this measures, but for your benefit, it's 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut my paper at 4 by 4. All right. So these papers that I am cutting up go into my cut pile. And again, my 12 by 12s stay with the 12 by 12s. This goes in my cut pile. And there's that. And already, look at how pretty that looks. We just started matting. Now, remember I told you guys that I'm going to use this unicorn paper back here? So that cloud paper, I'm not loving. I'm just not loving it for there. So I go back and forth, back and forth. I don't stay stuck on one page. I like to see what the full picture is going to look like. So I'm going to cut this 1/4 of an inch smaller than the actual space that I'm covering. Okay, so I'm cutting that down. Gotta make sure I have my paper nice and straight. So immediately I knew I was going to use this unicorn paper. I knew that, right? Look at that, how pretty. So when I put this cloud back here, it hit me. I'm using unicorn paper here. Notice that that's not going to look good. You don't have to keep that. Take it out. You can use it somewhere else. I always say this to everyone. Just take it out, okay? What you can do is, if you want, you can put the cloud paper in the front, switch it around and put the star paper on the back. Or go back to the papers that you picked. See, I can go here, pick this one. I would automatically do this a photo mat. There would be a photo there, but because I'm just trying to go over pattern papers with you guys, I want to show you. But that, I would put a white piece of paper there for a photo mat. So we've got this here, this here. I think that's too dark. By the way, I'm doing this on purpose. All right. I think this is too dark. I don't have to keep it. I take it out. I call this auditioning your papers. I'm going to go for my next piece of paper that I thought I liked. This is the piece of paper I would have picked from the very beginning. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that please don't be afraid to cut your paper. Look at this. Now this I like. See the variation in color there? I know that I'm going to have some more blue over here. So I'm going to go ahead and measure this out. And I write it down when I'm talking because I forget. So I'm going to measure that out. For something like this, you would cut it still 1/4 of an inch smaller. You follow the same principle as you did when you're making the element, okay? So still 1/4 of an inch smaller. trying to use this piece of paper here, which will not work. I can probably get away with this. Let's see what it looks like. I'm trying to save this piece of paper here. So I'm going to find my center, and then I'm going to cut my shape out. And that's 3 1/8. Here's my center. I have a small cutting surface here, and I just cut. So I cut this 1/8, 1/4 of an inch smaller than the area I'm matting. And I automatically knew I had to find my center. Why? Because when we made this page, this is how we made the flap. So you're going to mat it exactly the same, except that 1/4 of an inch smaller, because that's your matting size. Or typically when I'm making albums, I say, guys, you want to make a template out of this. Okay? That's it. This I would probably toss. There's nothing... I'm not a fussy cutter, so I more than likely would not cut that out. I wouldn't do anything with this, so I would toss that. I know all of you who don't toss a thing are probably gasping right now, but you know, we're all different. We all do our thing in a different way. Okay, this is not necessarily the right way. The only thing I say right and wrong, and I'll say this is wrong, this is right, with my projects. With something that I have made, with something that I've developed, I will be happy to tell you that you're doing it wrong. Why? Because I made it, right? However, you may have a different take on it, and that's okay. All right, so with this project, matting, there is no right or wrong way. This is just the way I do things. All right, so there I have a really nice look, variation in color. Notice I haven't glued anything down, okay? Because I want the ability to change my mind. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover this little band here. This is a great opportunity to put some decorative accent. Okay, I'm going to, of course, use a stripe because I can't help myself. All right, I'm going to use a stripe. And notice I haven't inked anything yet. I could have went just a little larger. Notice I don't care. And I am absolutely cutting another piece. Again, I don't care. I don't feel that I'm wasting paper. I can use that somewhere else. We cut out all of these decorative elements over here, right? So we can use them. Bring in some more color. Here, we can use our little birdie. I'm going to turn this over this way. We can use our little birdie. We can use any of these things. I mean, quite frankly. You can use a unicorn, and you kind of pick up on that unicorn over there. You can use a shine bright. All sorts of things. I'm going to use a shine bright because I always tend to gravitate toward anything with a camera on it. This goes where? In your scrap pile. Anything under 12 by 12. All right. So I really like this. I know I'm pretty much going to keep this, but I still don't glue it down. I get paper clips and I start paper clipping things. I don't glue things down until I am finished with the entire look. And I'll tell you what I mean by entire look. Let me just start pinning. I call this pinning. It's a sewing term. Okay, and I'll pin this down. And I'll pin this down just because it's just what I do. All right, what I mean by until I finish with the entire look is I like to mat everything that you can see in this closed position. What else can you see? You can see this down here. You can see this up here. So I like to make sure that everything has a really nice flow. So I will continue matting all the way back here. I don't even touch this because this is what's going to show. All right, so I'm going to find a piece of paper for back here. I'm measuring. And I'm thinking, I'm obsessed with this cloud paper, but I still can't use it because I've got so much blue over here. I can repeat this pattern, or because this is nice and bright, I can go with the floral. So let's try the floral first. All right. Try that floral and see what I get there. And I don't get much action going out around. This floral, you can pretty much use it any way. So let's see what I get on this side. I can possibly live with this. I like that. I like that. Let me see what I can get up here. And I'm thinking, now I'm looking through my 12 by 12s. Larger pieces, even though they're in my scrap pile, now I start putting those to the back, putting the smaller pieces to the front. You know, it doesn't have to be too complicated. You just kind of shove it in the back, throw it on the top, one or the other, okay? So now I'm going to look through here some more. I want something with a small print. The only item I have here with a really small print is the, I love this rainbow here. I'd love to get that rainbow right in there. Don't know if I can do that. But I have this dot here that will work with anything. So I think I'm going to use this dot because that's going to look nice up there. Okay, so this, I can't remember what circle punch I used, darn it. Let me see. I would say the 2 1/4 circle punch. So I'm going to have to test this because I can't remember. I think it's a 2 1/4 one. That seems about right. So now I would need my 2-inch punch, which I'm not finding. I must have not put it back where it belongs. Lovely. Let's see if it's somewhere around here where I can peek at it. Darn it. See what happens when you don't put things away where they belong? All right. Well, I know that I'm going to use this piece of paper. This I know. I'm going to punch out the 2 1/4 inch because I just have to. Just to be sure this is what I used. Actually, that's not what I used. Okay, wonderful. Good to know. 1 1/2 inch, 1 1/4. All right, I will have to revisit that. Anyway, let me just show you what that pattern looks like. Okay, let me just show you. This is what the pattern will look like peeking out of there. I think that's lovely. Then we have to check this out over here, and I would absolutely love to have some more of the star print or a stripe. See that peeking out from under there. So now I'm going to measure. This is at 3 1/4. You can do exactly the same thing you did before. By 7. Right, 3 1/4 by 7. And then you're going to cut on an angle. So I'm going to cut this way because I want this peeking out. Okay, cutting this way. See? Now this perfect little piece here. Love, love, love. And that's what we got going on, guys. This is now a completed look. Obviously, I got to get my circle right. But now I'm pretty happy with this. So when I'm happy with a look, and this is to me a complete look, I will ink everything up. And then I will either, depending what adhesive you're going to use, you can use wet glue. I use my Xyron machine that I just roll it through the tape, and you'll see that in the Matting 101 video, or score tape, or whatever adhesive you like. Some of you may already have an adhesive that you love. Go for it. Use whatever adhesive you like. Notice I haven't matted in here, or anything in here. Why? Because it doesn't matter. You don't see it. The only thing that you will see is this right here. Here and here. This little pocket we got going on. Well, this right here. That's it. So if you want, you can go ahead and matte that too, but it's not going to make a very big difference. Okay, I love it. The reason why I wanted this yellow poking out, you're probably like, there's not really much yellow here, because I wanted to bring out the yellow here. See this itty bit of yellow over here? I wanted to bring some more of that out, so that's why I chose to use that. Had I went with the stripe option down here, let me show you. To bring out that yellow again, to bring out that yellow some more, I would do this. Okay, if you're wondering just, how to switch it up and how to bring some colors in, that is what I would do if I wanted to bring some yellow in. But I believe, in my head, I think that this is the best look. So again, it's all about auditioning your papers. Very, very important. You could even do that. All right, that's definitely plenty of that yellow in there. But I feel like all I need is this and this, so I'm pretty happy with this. All right, so hopefully this gives you an idea of how I start the matting process and how I go through my entire process. This is to help those who say, Kathy, there's no matting instructions in your tutorial. I don't do that because you may be using another paper. You may be doing something completely different. The only thing you need to know is that you have to cut your paper 1/4 of an inch smaller than the area you are trying to mat, than the area you are trying to cover with pattern paper. All right. I do a final review video and I do a flip, which is a flip through, so you can see the papers I chose in case you want to do it exactly like mine. All right. But I absolutely want you guys to go through the process. That is how you learn. All right. If you want a bolder border, see this bold black border here? If you wanted to have that all around your album, then you cut your paper a 1/2 inch smaller. That'll give you 1/4 of an inch border all the way around. I personally like the 1/8 inch border, which is what you see right here. So again, you cut that 1/4 of an inch smaller than the area you're trying to mat. So when I'm done with my book, I will come back with a final review and you will know how I did this, right? But what you will see is my book completely matted. I'll be back with another video.